with Intention, podcast where we bring you stories from around the globe. Hello and welcome to another episode on Rise and Thrive Mornings with Intention. And today I have a beautiful guest here from Alberta, actually, Claudia. Welcome to our podcast. How are you today?
I'm fine. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really super excited being here.
Thank you so much. And please tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit more background, where you're from, or have you always lived here, and things like that. And then we'll jump right into a beautiful podcast.
Oh, sounds fantastic. So currently I'm living in Alberta, Canada, but I've been in Canada for pretty much most of my life, but I born and raised in Germany. And so I'm here. So we're going to be talking about animals because animals are my passion. That's my purpose of life. I am an animal communicator, an animal communications expert actually, and I'm also educating people about animals in general because the way we see animals or what we've been told about animals is actually not quite correct.
All right, so we'll dive right into that. So understanding animal communication and connection. So let's go with this one first. So you have such a deep connection with animals based on what I've already talked to you about off the show. When did you first realize you could communicate with them on a telepathic level? Because I hear that's what you do.
Correct. So yes, to be honest, since I've been a child, I just when I saw an animal, the animal didn't even have to be here, like it could be on TV or something. I just knew what was going on in the animal's mind, but I didn't know that I could communicate with them
Mhm.
because when I saw an animal, like I said, I knew what was going on in his or her mind, what was going on in their life. And let's say an animal was abused or mistreated. And I said, this animal is going through pain or fear. I was just told, like to be quiet. And my mother actually said to me once, Claudia, be quiet, or to come and put you in a straight jacket and put you in um, what do you call it? Loony bin, she said. And so nobody heard that or felt so. It was weird. I couldn't talk to people about it. So I really didn't know because I thought everybody was experiencing the same I did, but they didn't. So it was really a weird thing. So there was nobody there for guidance or anything like that. I found that out later on in life.
What about at what time usually? Like, was it later in when you were just a teenager or even more?
So like I said, this ability I had from as far as I can think back. And I remember the only person I could talk to about that was my sister. And so again, sometimes when an animal was in despair and I told my sister about it, she said, Claudia, you have to stop that because she didn't hear it either, right? She didn't get it either. She just said, Claudia, you're wrecking your life because for days I was just in panic, fear for this animal, right? That I had met. So she said to me, you gotta stop it and forget about it. And my sister, she was the older sister. So of course she knew everything. I looked up to her and everything. So I tried that. And then it literally felt to me as part of me was dead. It was really horrible. So uh, skipping a few years coming here, to Canada, I learned about animal communication, animal communicators. And I mean, as a child, I've seen the movie Dr. Dolittle, and I always thought that's what I want to do, talking with the animals. And so I adopted a dog, my first dog companion here in Canada, and she had some health issues. And I wanted to find out how she was feeling. So I heard about this person who communicated with animals, and I thought, oh, wow. So didn't know what to expect. I had a session, and I remember she had a 20-minute session. And I always felt very close to my animal companions, right? So I had a session with her, and all of a sudden, my dog had a voice. It was the most amazing experience. And it felt to me that my entire life I was just passing by animals, and all of a sudden I really connected.
Wow.
And so I asked this lady three questions, and then I started bawling. I was just crying. It was just the most amazing thing that I heard my dog, even though it wasn't her voice. I still get emotional, even though it wasn't her voice, right? But I heard the 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 the, the words. So I cried and cried, and then all of a sudden the lady said, "Okay, 20 minutes over." That was the session. That was my first experience.
Oh wow. But that is so interesting. Like I grew up on the farm because I'm also from Europe originally. And then when we came here, we didn't have any pets, but growing up with them for some time back home, yeah, it's animals. Yeah, for the most part, many of us just see them as animals, but we don't really go beyond that. It's just dog, cat, whatever. You play with them, and then off you go, right? So it's really interesting to hear you talk about this on this kind of level. So let's hear some more. Can you maybe somehow, if you can, explain more how is it like? Is it comes as you say you hear them? Can you explain a little bit more if you can? I'm not sure if you
Sure.
can.
So basically, I communicate with animals through telepathy. Telepathy is also known as the universal language. I, however, call it a soul language because it's a soul ability. Every soul has this ability, and there's no difference between humans and animals. We are all a soul in a physical body. And so, what I do when I connect with animals, I literally just translate into words with people, into words for people to hear what the animals have to say. Now, because I also teach this ability, because again, it's not real. Sorry, I shouldn't say I teach this ability. I reawaken this ability in people so they can also communicate with animals, not just to animals, with animals. So when you start, you have maybe one or two channels open. Now, I've been doing that for so long that I have all the channels open. So sometimes you get a word, sometimes you have a feeling, you have an emotion. Some people might see pictures or they feel it in the body or they see a color, whatever. So you have to, to see which one is your dominant one, and then you can open the other one. So I literally I have them all. So I can also feel what an animal feels. I can go into animal's body. I'm also an empath, so I literally feel everything. And plus, my understanding with animals is, and that's what I want to teach people, is so much deeper. So I get the whole picture. So that's what I pass on when.
Oh, that's very interesting. Just as you were talking about that, it actually reminded me of something a few years ago. My friend had a kitty, and actually two of them, and it was really strange thing. And I just dismissed it as like, okay, thank you for letting me know. I'll let my friend know, and then that was it. But I can totally relate now. I saw this image of something, and I didn't know what it was, but I knew the cat was sick. And so I told her, I was like, your cat is sick. Like, you should take her to the vet. There's something off. She's like, how do you know that? I said, I don't know. I just know. And just take her in. And unfortunately, it was a little bit, by the time everything happened, it was a little bit late. The kitty did pass away, unfortunately. But it was a strange thing, you know. On another occasion, it was actually with a human. There was something I knew was wrong also. And I saw it as an image, like you were describing, right? And I told her, and she was able to go to the doctor, and sure enough, there was a problem, and they were able to catch it in time and things like that. So I understand that thing, but it's true. Like we hardly ever either tune in or actually pay attention to it. So we just dismiss it as some random thing. But in that case, those two times I actually listened to them, I was like, I better tell her because if I don't, I'll feel bad after if something does happen, right? So it's interesting.
We all using telepathy all the time, but again, because people are not used to it, we're so
Yeah.
much into the verbal communication. When you have a little kid that grows up, what do you want? What's that called? A cookie or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So because most people haven't been told about that, so we don't use it. We don't foster this ability. But so many times, I mean, let's say some people say, oh, yeah, I know what my husband was going to say. But yeah, we've been married for 35 years. You don't have to be married for 35 years. Or let's say, you and a friend, you plan to go out and see a movie tonight. So your friend calls you and says, oh gosh, Eva, I'm so sorry, but I'm not feeling so well. Maybe we can do it another night. And you say, of course, sure, I want you to feel better. But deep down, I have this feeling something is doesn't feel right, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then the next day, your friend would come to you and say, "Oh, I'm so sorry, but I met this guy and I really wanted to go out with him. I'm so sorry I lied to you." You feel it. That's telepathy, right? But
Yeah.
you can, again, you can reawaken it more and more. And so also that you do it on purpose and not just by accident.
Yeah, exactly. And we tend to override things quite a bit, thinking that like, ah, no. But now I want to get into something. So, this is a question I want to ask you. What are some common messages that animals want the humans to know?
Um,
Have you come across something like this?
yes. So a lot of, again, a lot of the things that we think we know about animals is absolutely not true. So for example, I actually just pops in my mind. One time I was talking to a big white shark, and everybody's so freaked out about sharks, right? Like they're
Yeah.
mass murderers. You walk in, you walk in, you swim into the ocean, and you're going to be killed by a shark if there's a shark around, right? So I was talking to a shark, and he asked me, he says, why are humans so afraid of us?
Because your big teeth? No, sorry.
So I told him, I said, they think that you want to kill them. And he said, no, absolutely not. I mean, that's not our intention. We don't even like human flesh, but they do, like when you swim and they're hungry, of course, they're looking for food. So they go. I mean, we walking through an orchard and we pick an apple, right? So we just killed that apple. So I mean, I don't mean to minimize it, but we just have to put the understanding that not every shark is a killer or murderer, right? Or lots of animals, what they want is they want to work with us. They want to have a closer relationship with us. They want to, I mean, as you know, animals, they always are there to help us. I mean, without animals, what would we do? I mean, we discovered the West on horseback, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we use dogs to herd our sheep. I mean, what would we do without animals, right? But they want to be more than just that. And I spoke with some whales once too, and that type of whale is very close to shore and always gets caught up in fishing nets.
Mm,
So I was doing some research, and the researcher said, well, those whales are so close to shore because of the food they eat, right? And that's just grows close to shore. So I was talking to the whales and said to them, like because you always get caught in fishing nets, so why don't you just, move a little bit further out, right? And they said, and I said, is it because of what you eat? And they said, no, we have to be close to shore because we want to be in touch with humanity. If they don't see it out of sight, out of mind.
mm,
So they were just
wow.
eating what was close to shore because they wanted to be close to shore. The researchers thought they're close to shore because what they're eating. So it's a totally different
Mm,
viewpoint.
wow.
But,
Very
but
interesting.
animals in general, they want us to understand them better because there's so much miscommunication that so many times people are scared. But
Mm-hmm.
there's a reason for it. I mean, respect, yes. I mean, if I see a lion, I don't just walk over to the lion. I mean, I have respect because it's a lion,
Yeah.
but not necessarily thinking about he or she lion. Yeah, he wants to do something nasty or kill me or something, right? So we got to put more understanding in because they have so much wisdom as well that
Yeah.
we can learn from.
So you kind of went into this a little bit, but maybe there's more. What one of the most surprising or profound messages you have ever received from an animal? Or was that more or less?
There are so many, it's hard to because they're so powerful. Well, actually, you know what? One just pops in. I spoke with a horse, and the horse. So this horse, the situation was that the horse was kept in a stable, and the guardian only came once a week for an hour, saddled the horse, went for a ride, went back home. So it was not really a relationship, right?
Mm,
So the horse was just there for the riding. And the horse said to me about his guardian, a friend walks beside you and doesn't sit on top of you. So, but then
mm.
there's other horses,
Wow.
when they have a relationship, it's a different, it's a different relationship where they don't mind. right? But again, it's there's so much what we've been told too that animals don't have higher faculties, which is not correct. They do have higher faculties. Because people say that's the difference between humans and animals. Humans have higher faculties, animals don't. But that's not true because all the higher faculties like perception, will, I mean, okay, perception, people don't know certain things because they don't talk with the animals. So they don't know what's going on in an animal's mind because we see everything from our viewpoint. But will, I mean, that's a higher faculty. If an animal wants something, I mean, if your dog or cat companion wants something, they go for it if they can, right? But
Mhm.
then again, sometimes animals, we don't allow them to show it either. So let's say a dog needs to go to the bathroom and goes to the door and wants to open the door to go out. The dog might be punished for that because you're not allowed to open the door. So how can he or she show the will?
Mhm.
But when you start talking with them, you really understand how much. I had
Fascinating.
a, I had a client, same thing. People think that when you talk to a dog, for example, all they want is just live in the country, have a bone. I had this client and we had a session, and she wanted to know if her dog companion was lonely during the day while she was at work and wanted another dog companion. So her dog said to her, you know what, that would be wonderful, but I would prefer if you would stay at home with me. So she said, sweetheart, I can't do that. I have to go to work. I have to earn money, and my boss doesn't allow me to work from home. So he said to her, well, why don't you start your own business? So she said, sweetie, I'm not a business person. I wouldn't know how to run a business, what to do. I have no idea. So he said to her, you are good at this and this. He gave her a business idea. He gave her a business plan. She followed it. She made $1 million in the first year.
Wow.
And people think, oh, you can talk to a dog about living in the country. It is so,
That's
in,
amazing.
yeah.
So many insightful insights. Wow. This is so cool. Um, so for someone who wants to communicate with their animal companion, where should they even start? Should I take a course or try doing it at home? Like, where would you go first?
Okay. There's two ways when you talk about communication. So one is you can talk to your animal companion, or you can talk with your animal companion. So the first thing, so become a communicator, of course, you have to be good at both. But what you can start right away is what you say to your animal companion, because most people say it the wrong way, and then they say the wrong way to the animal companions. The animals, of course, then do it the wrong way, and then people say, "See, they don't understand what I'm saying," but we are saying it wrong.
Can you give us example maybe?
Yes. So when we speak and when we think, we send out telepathic messages. It's like the radio. So we send out telepathic messages, and that's what the animals pick up. Also, we think in pictures. So, for example, if I say to you, think about a ball, you see a ball in front of you. Think about
Mm-hmm.
you see your kitchen. So, most people, they always say what they don't want. So, they say to your dog companion, don't jump up, don't bark, or your cat, don't scratch the furniture, right? That's what people say. But in telepathy, negatives don't come through. So, if I say to you, Eva, don't think about a police officer, what do
You're
you
gonna
think?
think about police officer.
Exactly. Don't think about an animal. You see an animal.
Yeah.
So if I want you to think about a zebra, why don't I say think about a zebra? So if you say to your dog companion, don't bark, you see in your mind your dog companion barking.
Yeah.
So your dog companion barks
Yep.
and then get punished. The don't doesn't come through. It's almost like
Yep.
when you drive a car and it says don't pass. You have two cars beside each other with the red circle and the thing around, right? Why don't we say follow the guy ahead of you?
Yep.
Right? So if you don't want your dog to bark, you would say, please be quiet. Or if you say, don't be scared, you see a dog that's scared sitting in the corner. You wouldn't see a dog on the couch, all 4 feet in the air, totally relaxed. And then your dog, of course, is scared. So we have to say what we want. And that's not easy. I give a seminar and then I usually ask people, write down what you want in one of my seminars, and people write it down and they have pages and pages, but then when they read it out, it's what they don't want. But then when you ask what do you want, they don't know what they want. Give you a good example. For example, let's say your dog pulls on the leash. What do people say? Don't pull on the leash. But that's exactly what you want to avoid.
Yeah.
So what would be the opposite of saying don't pull on the leash? So most people would say walk beside me. No, because then your dog can't go to the bathroom. So what you want is you want a loose leash. All you want is a loose, so your dog can do anything he or she wants, but
Mm-hmm.
on a loose leash. So we have to say it correctly. So it's our fault. I mean, it's their second language. We expect so much from animals. If you think about it, animals have to learn our language. But how many people have learned a cow's language? What does a moo mean? We don't know that. Or that's why I always say to people when they mimic animals, don't do that because you don't know what you're saying. If you mimic an animal, you could say, tell the animal, oh yeah, I'm scared too, something horrible is going to happen. You don't know what it means. Never, ever mimic an animal. But see, animals have to learn our language, but we don't learn theirs. Even telepathy, we don't do it the correct way. And then,
Mm.
of course, then people say they can't hear it, they're not smart enough, whatever, which is not correct. It's our fault.
Wow. So many amazing insights here. It's true, like even in our human adventures of life, we tend to do very similar things in a way we talk to even our kids, don't do that, don't do this, you know. And or like we always like sometimes we focus on things we don't want and obviously what we're gonna get more of, same thing, because we're focusing on that instead of the opposite. So so many relationships you know between those two things. So let's talk about maybe shifting perspectives and breaking misconceptions here. I know we touched on this a little bit already, but let's go in a little bit deeper. So you've dedicated your life to shifting the way we view animals. What are some of the biggest misconceptions so far you have seen?
The biggest one is that we don't understand the depth of animals, how much they understand, and especially also their emotional world. Because if you have a dog companion and you say, "Oh, you stupid dog," the animal understands that, and the animal is hurt. Like, think about, put yourself into the animal's shoes. If you would be this dog, how would you feel? I mean, even if I would say that to you now, how would you feel? Right? You would be hurt.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing. They have such deep emotions and they do understand. They know so much more than what most people think. So it's not just a dog, it's not just a cat, it's not just a cow. I say the best way to shift things around is rather than saying the species, the dog species, the cow species, the shark species, um, change the word species to culture. So you have the dog culture, the horse culture. Like we're traveling all around the world to experience different cultures because it's what makes this beautiful world so wonderful, right? Because if everybody would live the same way, why would you travel? Okay, maybe you want to
Mhm.
see some mountains, so right? But otherwise, if everybody has the same, why would you travel? That's why we go to Europe, to Asia, to wherever, to Antarctica, because people live different. That's so interesting. So the same with the animals, learn their culture. So don't see species because species is already the separation. If you use the word culture, it's already coming much closer.
Exactly.
And all they have is just a different lifestyle, but let's get to know them. But again, the feelings that animals have, it's I had a dog companion, she had hip dysplasia. So that was years ago before we had baby pet carriers and all of that. So I had a little wagon for her to pull behind me. She was a 70-pound dog. And so she had hip surgery and everything. And it was really hard for her sometimes. So I got that wagon for her and she was so happy. She like, oh gosh, I can go in the wagon if I'm tired, I can go in there. So she was so happy. I took her out. It was in the evening, the first night, and passing some people, and they were making remarks because she was in there. And so, okay, so the next day I took her out and people were really not nice either. Like, if you have a dog that can't walk, you should give her the needle and stuff, and so the third day I wanted to take her out. She didn't want to go out anymore. Her feelings were hurt. She was so hurt.
Mm. Poor thing.
So yeah, yeah, that thing. So I got her another wagon where she kind of was covered so people didn't see her. So the emotional, I mean, what people say, or people keep on lying to animals unknowingly because they haven't been told different. So for example, if you have a dog trainer will say, tell your dog you'll be right back, and then you go to work. Right back is literally just taking out the trash. You're back in a minute. But then you go to work, you're gone for 8 hours. So you lied. Animals know time. So you lied. And then you wonder why your animal companions get separation anxiety. If you're in a relationship and your partner says, I'll be right back, and then it's gone all day, well, that would probably be a big fight when you come home. But again, animals are not allowed then
Yeah.
to show that they're upset or whatever. They're not allowed to have a bad day. They always have to have good days. So the emotional world is so misunderstood as well.
Mm. I want to jump into a topic on healing a little bit, but because I don't have much knowledge when it comes to that, but there's some dogs that are the companions, and they can sense things when they're gonna go wrong. So somebody I know, they just she had a heart attack, and so they got a dog because they learned, because they read these things now, and they said, oh, dogs can help me if I'm gonna go into distress, or they can sense things before they do. Can you share some insights on this? Like, how do the dogs know, or like, can you shed some light on this? I'm very interested in that too.
So again, every dog is different too. You can't say all the dogs can do it. Like
Okay.
some are better at certain things, some are not, just like us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Animals, first of all, their senses are much, much more refined. Like the intuitive senses and that as well. So so little changes in our mood they're aware of.
Mm-hmm.
But also they also smell that things changing in us. For
Mm-hmm.
example,
Okay.
if you're happy, you have different hormones than if you're sad, and they can smell that. But again, they sense it so much that the change is just a little subtle changes in our feelings and in our emotions. Um, and that's yeah, that's incredible. So I always trust animals because they're so
Mm-hmm.
much more open to that. But so they can sense it and they can smell it.
Okay. So certain animals for certain things, like I know people have special dogs when it comes to some individuals, but same thing with these. Sometimes they have to be trained, correct, to pick
That's
up
cool.
certain things.
Yeah, because I don't like the word training. I use always teaching because you train for a marathon, but you teach, like we go into school to be taught and not to be trained. So when we teach our animals something, it's teaching, not training. So I always say teaching. But yes, because we want to teach them what we want them to tell us because they sense it anyway. But first of all, why should it tell us and how? Because so many times an animal tries to tell us something and we don't hear it.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to teach them what we would like them to do and then how to give that message, bring that message to us.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. Wow, learning so much here. So if another question on healing. So in what ways do animals actually help us heal emotionally and spiritually, or both?
I think animals help us in that way because they are so innocent. They haven't been brainwashed that don't show your emotions or this or that. And when an animal is there, an animal is literally totally selfless. They show us. They are there for us. If you have an animal companion and they're there. It doesn't matter if you just won the lottery or if you just lost your house, if you're so sick that you barely can. They are there for us and they mean it. Like there's no condition. It's so selfless, right? So, and they're there for us no matter what. And even if you had a harsh word with them, it hurts them, yes, but they forgive us. And they're always there for us. So that unconditional love is so healing. You don't find that anywhere else. Because as a human, and I'm a human, so I'm not talking down on humans, there's always this little thing, what's in it for me, right? Or if I
Mhm.
do this, I can get hurt. Animals, they don't have that. So they are there no matter what. Selfless. So they I think that's one of the biggest gifts.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. So, if someone's listening today and they want to build a stronger bond with their animal, whatever it might be, cat, dog, fish, you name it, what's one simple thing they can start today with? Aside from going and getting extra, special help or whatever, but like one thing today they can already start changing.
Put yourself in your animal companion's shoes and then think about what would you like to go through, or how would you like to be treated in that situation?
Love that. So thank you so much for these wonderful insights. And of course, once again, we'll post all the links in this video if you'd like to get in touch with Claudia. And by the way, your picture is beautiful, and that's our Canadian mountains right there for you. You took that picture yourself, correct?
I did, yeah, just east of Banff.
Beautiful. We'll post all the links, like I said. And sorry, I just looking at these pictures. I wish I was there already. So the name of the podcast is Rise and Thrive Mornings with Intention. So how important do you think it is to set intention first thing in the morning?
But it sets your entire day. It absolutely sets your entire day. If you, it's like you're on a road map, like on a GPS. If you drive in your car and you put the destination in, that's kind of the same thing, and the GPS will get you there.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Well, thank you so much for sharing all your beautiful insights today. Again, if you need some advice, expertise, or just want to talk to Claudia, reach out to her. She has lots of experience. And I thank you so much for being here on the show today, Claudia. It's been a pleasure to have you. And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you guys soon again. Thank you so much for watching today.
Thank you.